Guys, I wasn't just your average class clown, problem child, troublemaker. I was like the very definition of a juvenile delinquent. Man, I was bad. In this video, we're going to talk about my childhood. If that sounds boring to you and you want to skip ahead to the more juicy stuff, I'll put a link here. You can skip ahead to my teen years. And if you want to hear about it, keep watching. I don't think I was like a troubled child, although I did get kicked out of kindergarten. So maybe I always was a problem child. We'll start there. You know what? Look, I have to take the credit. I'm the one that did what I did to get kicked out. But, you know, in my defense, the teacher put me in the back of the room, in the back of the class in the corner. And there was a TV in the corner. So I watched the TV, and then I got kicked out for watching the TV. It's like, you put me there. Like, how does that make any sense? Whatever. So my mom was not having that, and she said, all right, well, that's it. We're shipping you off to military school. Well, I didn't actually have to go away because we found one close by the house, which meant I got to stay at home. It was had previously been a military academy, and now it was just a private school. And actually, it was a pretty good school. I learned a lot there. It was college prep. And I went there for 9 years. I went there from kindergarten through like my first semester of freshman year. Then they finally kicked me out. But I went through a lot of stuff while I was there. In fact, since we're talking about kindergarten, you know, this only happened in the first 2 weeks of being at the kindergarten. I got kicked out. Like within 2 weeks, they knew we don't want this kid in the class. So I went to this new, school. And, back then, the teachers weren't, as held back as they are now. They could the whole point was discipline the kid, shape him up and, and teach him discipline. So my teacher brought rope to school. Yeah. And tied me down to my chair. Now, that didn't stop me from getting up and running around. I just run around with a chair tied to my butt. But, I got to tell you, if I ever end up on a rooftop with a rifle, it's going to be because of this guy. And you know what? I know I said I was going to change names and stuff like that, but I'm not going to change this guy's name. This guy was Mr. Casey. If you're watching this, you screwed me up. My whole life has been messed up on a different trajectory because of you. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out. This guy just did everything he must have had it out for me or something. I don't know. But he, one time I had to use the bathrooms. Can I use the bathroom? Yeah, you can use the bathroom. And this is private school, so each classroom had its own little bathroom, but it was crazy little stall, it was just one stall and a sink, but it was the size of a stall, and the door, instead of being like a regular metal stall door, it was actually like an actual door to like a room. It must have been like a janitor's closet that they just, turned into a bathroom. Anyway, I'm in there, and I didn't have any reading material or anything. I don't think I took a long time, just doing my duty, and there was no locks on the door because they were kids, So he must have thought I was in there for too long, and he came in and, yanked me out by the arm and in front of everybody. My pants down, around my ankles, poop on my butt, my little wiener sticking out, and I was in kindergarten, and this traumatized me. This, by the way, was a co-ed class. So, I was devastated. So again, that's why I say, if I don't turn out right, it was this guy's fault. But moving along. Now, this must have been in like first or second grade. By the way, I'm not going to go grade by grade, but this is worth noting because this was a big turning point in my life here, I think. I noticed that I needed glasses. I really do need glasses for everything. I'm not farsighted or nearsighted. I'm both. I got astigmatisms, and it's crazy. So my glasses are the first thing I reach for in the morning, the last thing I take off at night. And I told the teacher, hey, I'm not trying to be a problem kid here. I can't see the board. The problem is I can't see the board. So her solution to that was to put my desk all the way up against the chalkboard. Now, let me just, okay, you understand how most classrooms are set up, right? There's a chalkboard here. The teacher's desk is in front of the chalkboard, and then you have the class, all the desks and the kids. She put my desk all the way up against the chalkboard, which meant it was behind her desk. So let's just get this right here, okay? I'm behind the teacher and in front of the whole class, with the whole class as an audience, and I'm not supposed to turn out like a class clown. She must have been asking for that. I don't know what she was thinking, but she got what she set me up for. I was the class clown, and I'm actually surprised I made it through 9 years at that school, because they threatened to kick me out lots of times. One time I pulled the fire alarm, and if anybody meets me in real life, please do not dare me to do anything, because I'm a sucker for that. I do it. This guy dared me to pull the fire alarm, and okay, I pulled the fire alarm. Then he was the one that turned me in. Like, I did it for you, dude. Anyway, so, I almost got kicked out for that. Luckily, my mom, she wasn't going to let me get kicked out. She kept bribing the teachers to keep me in there. Like, I remember the one science teacher, she Polaroid cameras had just came out, and he was like a camera head, and so she got him a Polaroid camera. And so he's like, okay, well, I won't kick him out then. I won't tell the principal or whatever their thing was. I know she got some sort of necklace or something for the principal one time. And she just literally just paid him off, bribed him. She wasn't having it. She's like, look, I don't know where else to put this kid. You guys got to keep him. And they kept me until freshman year. That's when I cut one class. Never cut a class in my life. They were very strict about that. Not like public schools where you can, cut classes. And they don't care as long as you show up for like homeroom. Yeah, I got one class. They were done. That was it. First thing I did wrong in my freshman year. Then I went to a different school. I ended up going to 9 high schools, and my mom was not going to give up. Every time I got kicked out of a school, she'd put me in another one. And I thank her for that. I didn't appreciate it at the time. I didn't want to be there. But now I at least have a high school education, and I even have some college. But if it wasn't for her, not giving up, I wouldn't have that. So I was basically raised by my grandparents until I was about 11 years old, and then my aunt adopted me. That's a whole crazy story in and of itself. I'm actually going to make another video about that, like my family tree, and I was adopted, and it's a pretty crazy story too, how it all came about. And I'll put a link to that right here in the cards. But my grandparents were old school. Okay, they were like in their 80s when they adopted me, when they first took me in. And man, they believed in not just spanking. They were hardcore into discipline. They had this this belt that they used to spank me with. And it wasn't a belt. You know what it was? It was one of those, the old-fashioned barbers that would scrape across that leather strap, whatever it was, about 3 or 4 inches wide and about 1/4 inch thick. And they would I don't know what they did, sharpen the blade or something before they shave you, with that. That's what they used. I think that's exactly what it was too, whatever you call that thing. Anyway, they'd crack me with that. It would leave welts that would welt up like 1/4 inch thick on my butt. And they didn't care where it hit you either. It was just if it hit you in the leg or the ankle, it didn't matter. There was no buckle on it, so it was going to hurt that bad. But, yeah, that was tough. And once you got spanked by that, you thought twice about doing whatever it was you were going to do after that. Of course, it didn't really stop me from getting into trouble, did it? Boy, I tell you, I was always up to no good. But one time I did something that was just more cute than bad. Well, I don't remember what I did. I did something bad, something to get in trouble. I knew I was going to get spanked. So I crawled underneath the kitchen table, And I spanked myself. And my mom came in and she had the belt and she was looking for me and she was going to spank me. And I said, no, you don't need to do that. I already did it. I already spanked myself. And you know what? It worked. It got me out of that spanking. Of course, it only worked that one time. But yeah, she thought it was so cute that it got me out of it. So that was funny, I thought. Well, when getting spanked with the belt by my grandparents didn't work, then they would call my Aunt Lorraine in to spank me. Because she was younger and she could, run around and chase me down and really hold me down good. And you know what? When that didn't work, I dreaded that. I usually made that work because then they would call up my biological father and he would come over and he didn't mess around. It wasn't a spanking. By the time he got there, he knew it was bad. He knew I was resisting. And so it was closed fist punch time. I mean, he didn't hold back either. He was just like, he was boxing you and that was it. You were going down for the count or you were going to get more. And so whatever it is that, you did that was bad, I definitely wasn't going to do it again. That definitely, if the spanking from the grandparents didn't work, then the spanking from my Aunt Lorraine didn't work, well then 100% for sure, getting beat up by my dad would definitely work most of the time. So I had this best friend growing up. We'll call him Chaz. He'll like that. No, he'll hate that actually. But that's not going to stop me from doing it. We're going to call him Chaz. Anyway, the way we met, he just like came over to the house one day, knocked on the back door, and he's like, he just made up a name. Is Johnny there? Can Johnny come out and play? And he knew there was a kid that lived there, and he didn't know who it was, so he just made up a name. And then they're like, there's no Johnny that lives here. And then I came in the door, and they're like, yeah, him. Can he come out? And so we started playing. And, we were little kids, and we pretty much hung out every single day of our childhood together. We were best friends. But we got in a lot of trouble. Man, you're going to hear about him a lot in some of the, future videos and stuff like that. But, man, we just, it was just a combination for trouble. We were blood brothers, actually. We did the whole, I still have the scar here where we, you wouldn't even think about doing that today because we're all like germaphobes and stuff. But, back then we didn't think about it, One time there was this church that was right across from my mom's office, and sometimes she'd have to be at work. She was a single mom, so she would take me with to work, and he wanted to play with me too, so he would come with. And there was a playground, there was a church and a school and a playground like right across the street. So we would play in the playground, and there was in the church right there that we went in to use the bathroom or something. We had to, whatever, and get a drink of water or whatever. It was always open. Like it didn't matter what time it was. It was always open. One time we went there, and it wasn't open. And we're like, that's crazy. It's always open. But they won't mind if we just go in anyway. So like we picked the lock and we went in. And as we were going in, or we're picking the lock, from the street, it probably just looked like two guys trying to break into the place instead of two kids trying to, break into the place. And I remember somebody in a Suburban or something like that stopped and like they were looking and, trying to see what was going on. I'm sure they were the ones that called the cops because we were in there and we saw the cops show up. And I'm like, hey, we got to go. The cops are here. The cops are here. I saw them pulling up in the front of the place. So we ran out the back and across the parking lot and across the street. And we were like walking down the street in front of a house across the street from the place now. And the cops pull up. And they say, hey, did you two kids see two guys come running past here? And before I could say, oh, yeah, they went that way or something, he walks up to the squad car and says, hell yeah, we're them. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would you say that? Why would you actually tell them it was us? Well, we had plenty of time to talk about that. Turns out he didn't want to lose our bikes that were parked. We left them in front of the church. I'm like, dude, they wouldn't have taken the bikes. First of all, they would just left them there. And if they did take them, we could have got them from the police station when we're not like suspects. Anyway, we were arrested and, 11 years old, I was getting arrested. They kept us like overnight in jail. And it turns out his dad was a cop and he got us out. But, and there was like a gold statue, like like a solid gold statue that was missing, and they tried to pin it on. We didn't take it. Like, we legit just went in there to use the bathroom. We didn't even get to because then the cops showed up and we ran out. We didn't take anything, but it had gotten robbed previously, and they, took that. So they were like trying to see were we linked to it or whatever. And that was kind of a little bit of a scary thing for an 11-year-old to be like, locked up in jail like that. But just the tip of the iceberg and stories that we got into. We got into a lot of trouble. Well, I guess you'd say I got an early start at being a child delinquent. I had my first cigarette at 10 years old. Started drinking when I was 11. I started smoking like regularly when I was 11. In fact, I had a note from my mom on file at the grocery store, like it was 2 blocks away. My mom didn't smoke, but they didn't know that. They thought it was from her. Of course, it was forged. And, I'm here to get the cigarettes for my mom. It wasn't hard because for a little kid to come up with the money back then, because, a pack of cigarettes was like 75 cents. I remember when it went up to 85 cents and I was upset. Well, guys, if you're still watching, you must have liked the video. And if you did, give it a like. Now, if you want to see more like this, subscribe and click the bell. If you got some extra time on your hands, why not watch another one? You can choose one from the Stories of My Life playlist, which will appear here after I disappear. Or you could watch the next one in the series, which will also appear here. See you in the next one.